In today's tutorial, we're going to talk about the newest Rhino 7. I'm going to give you my top 10 features that are going to be a game changer in our industry. Let's check them out. Hey guys, Dushan here. Before we start, if this is your first time here, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to our channel as we upload new tutorials each week on Rhino and Grasshopper and how to use these tools specifically for architecture. Welcome to the new video. This time we're going to talk about the newest Rhino 7 features. I'm sure that you guys already heard that Rhino 7 recently finished development, and now let's take a look at those new features. So on this page, you'll be able to find out everything about these newest features for Rhino 7, so I definitely advise you to go and check it out. However, for this video, I prepared my top 10 new commands and options that are available. So now let's take a look at them. Place number 10 goes to gradient and transparent hatches. This is one of those features that I wish Rhino had before, and finally now it's available. So let's see how this works. Alright, so now what I have here, I have two types of hatches. This is the hatch that I created. I created this gradient hatch that I want to share with you. This one is not transparent and this one is transparent. So what does this mean? This means, for example, if I want to edit this hatch, simply need to click on it, and then here I have some options for editing. So I can click here on the edit, and now I have the option to maybe change the position of this gradient. You can see how if I move the direction, the gradient itself is going to be in a different direction. I can also move this area, and then you really have the ability to maybe even add more stops or add more colors if you wish. For example, let's add one, and let's go with, I don't know, some greenish, for example, something like this, and we can add this green here. And then of course, if you want to emphasize the black one, we can move it, and so on. So you have a lot of freedom here to change the hatch. And of course, this guy is not transparent, so this means that they're not gonna be, there is no transparency involved. Okay, so now you might be wondering, how do we create this kind of transparency? So in this case, all we need to do, I'm gonna copy this guy here, and all we need to do is edit the transparency of each single color. So the way that we do this, we need to click on edit, we need to click here on edit color, we need to click on the color stop. So in this case, I'm gonna click on the black one here, and I'm gonna simply change the opacity to something like this. Click OK, and then this will change the opacity for this side. And then when I move this up, you will see how this side will become transparent. The other side is also going to be transparent, but not as much as the left one. So this is how you can actually create the transparency. So it is based on transparency of each single color. So I hope that all makes sense. Number 9 goes to the command called clash. This is a super useful command. Let me show you what it does. So imagine that sometimes when you're working, you're not sure if something is overlapping. For example, in this case, it's obvious that these two are overlapping at this position, but let's say that you're doing some kind of project that has so many details and you're not sure if something is overlapping. This is where clash will come in handy. So all you need to do is type clash, then select the first set for the clash detection, click here, and then click enter, and then select the second set of clash detection, we click there. And once we click enter, we're gonna have here the distance of the clearance. It's the default is set to 0. We click OK, and then you see that now the window will zoom in and it will actually show the precise point where the clash is happening. So in this case, the clash is located here, but let's see what's gonna happen if these two objects are not clashing, if they're not intersecting. For example, like this. Now let's do again clash, click here, and then this one, and then when I click enter, it will say there is no clash. You can see that now there is no detection, and that means that these two are not intersected. Once again, if you do the same thing here, it's gonna show us right away where the clash happened. Okay, so that was number 9. Let's go to number 8. Number 8 goes to name selections. This is super useful workflow that I'm gonna share with you now. In order to activate the named selections tab here, all you need to do is right click here and then select named selections from this menu, and then you will see that we have named selections tab here. So now how does this work? Let's say that you want to save, for example, 3 different selections like these. How do we do this? We simply select these guys and then we say save selection, and I'm gonna say first row. Once you click OK, this selection is saved and you can see what is inside of it. The same thing can happen if we do the second one. We select the second row. Let's click on save. Let's save it as second row. And the last one will be the third one. I'm gonna save it again. And now what happens? You can see that now we have 3 different selections. In case you want to activate some of them, we simply need to double click here and it will be selected, and now you can move it away. Same thing goes with the second one and with the third one. In case something happens to, let's say, this guy, and if you move it like this, then once you select the first row, it will still be affected because it will memorize that there's going to be a curve inside of there. So even if you move things, the named selections will remember the change that you did. And in this way, you can really organize your projects, you can organize your layouts, you can organize, for example, if you want to have, the different walls or different windows in your base plane or in 3D. So a great tool, named selections. Let's go to number 7. Place number 7 goes for Multipipe. This is an excellent command. So let me show you what it does. Let's go to perspective and let's simply type, let's select these curves and let's type Multipipe. You will see that here is the radius that we can set. Let's leave it to 1 and let's click enter. We want to keep the caps off, enter again, and the strut division, let's say leave the default, and let's click enter. You will see that now we got the connection with no problems. You can see how smooth this is. This was never possible before in Rhino. And this Multipipe component is actually made for subdivision tool. Here you can see that we just used those curves to get this result, which is quite cool. Now let's see what happens if we have more than just 3 curves. What if we have curves from different directions? Is this still going to work? Let's try. Let's type Multipipe. Let's select the curves and let's click enter a couple of times. And let's see the result. Just like that, we got this complex connection, and you can see how smooth that is and how precise it is. So it doesn't matter how many of these curves you have, it's always gonna work. It's just a matter of, having all of those curves meet at the same point, because if those curves don't meet in the same point, then the connections are not gonna be created. So you need to pay attention. You want to make sure that you have them all at the same point. Place number 6 goes for Quad Remesh. This is the newest tool for Rhino 7. And now let's take a look and see what Quad Remesh does. You can see here on this video clip that Quad Remesh is gonna rebuild the surface and create really cool quad mesh polygons. You can even see how, for example, this has so many polygons, and with the Quad Remesh it's easy to transform. So this is what Quad Remesh can do. And of course you have some more examples here on this page you can check out. And even here you have before and after. You can see how this mesh was optimized to have very cool effects. You have very clean topology, which is really important if you want to proceed with modeling and 3D printing and so on. Now let's see how this command works. So here we have some model of a squirrel. The actual topology is okay, but let's see if we can make it a little bit less dense. So here if we select this, you can see it's closed mesh. Now let's try Quad Remesh tool. Just type Quad Remesh, and here we have a couple of options. We have target quad count, we have adaptive size, and some other options. So first let's try and let's change this to, let's say, 1600, something like this. We want to detect hard edges, we want to have the preview, and this preview is going to allow us to see what the conversion is going to look like. You can see that now this mesh is being calculated, and on top of that we can also convert this guy to a sub D. We can convert the whole thing to a sub D, and this will allow us to have some additional options. And let's say that you're happy with the result. We can click OK. And now this is going to be converted, and this Quad Remesh tool is going to convert this squirrel mesh to a sub D object. And now let's see the difference. Let's see the result that we got. So here I have my mesh that I had from before, and here I have the squirrel. And I have the squirrel, and you can see that the polygons are much cleaner, they're much nicer, they're not that dense as these guys. And of course you can use these polygons as subdivision tools. Like here it says it's called sub D. You can move this around and manipulate this as much as you want afterwards. So that's Quad Remesh, great tool. Number 5 goes to Package Manager. This is a great tool, a great asset to Rhino 7. So it's located here, or you can simply type package manager. So let's see what this tool does. Once you open up the tool, you will have a list of all of the plugins that you can install directly from here for both Rhino and Grasshopper. So this means that we don't need to go to Food for Rhino anymore and search for plugins and search for the installation files and how to install them. We can simply select any of these plugins from here. We can click install and the plugins will automatically be installed either for our Rhino or Grasshopper. So this is something that was lacking in the previous versions of Rhino. This is a great addition and that's why it's going to number 5. Rhino 7 has new improved layouts tab. So to access this tab, you actually need to click here and then you need to click here on the layouts. This is going to bring the layouts tab. And let me remind you, just in Rhino 6, if you forgot, there is no layouts. You cannot select the layouts, and all of the layouts were actually located here below, and there was no way of easily copying them and then modifying them and so on. So in Rhino 7 we have this new feature. So now we have different kind of layouts here, and we can easily drag and drop them. For example, here you can see that I can easily move them around, I can copy them, I can double click to rename them, to select them, and you can check all of this out here on this video for the layout. And these are some of the features that we have. So we have right click to copy, shift to select multiple layouts, and yeah, I also forgot to say that you have the search function. So if you start typing, you will see that the layouts that have 1 and 0 are going to be shown up here. So this is a great improvement for layouts in Rhino 7. And now let's move to the next one. Place number 7 goes for Grasshopper Player. You can also start it from here, and let me show you what it does. If you take a look at this video here, you will see that we're actually going to be able to use Grasshopper definitions directly in Rhino viewport. Well, there's another example here where we have the wall, and you can define the height of the wall, side of the wall, and then when you click, it will just start to appear. And this is all going to go through Grasshopper, but actually it's gonna be visible directly in the viewport. So this is a great addition. For example, here we also have a Grasshopper Player, and then you can activate any kind of definitions that you create previously. In this case, there's a wall that is gonna be based on this curve, and you can see how the wall is gonna be manipulated there, and then we can even add some additional definition on top of it, like in this case, and you can add a ripple in the effect, and this is all gonna change the position of these bricks. Number 2 on our list is Rhino inside Revit. This is by far one of the best improvements in Rhino 7. It allows Rhino and Grasshopper to run directly inside Revit. This allows us to pretty much fuse all of the capabilities of Grasshopper and parametric modeling with the power of Revit, documentation, and using the families. This is how some of these components look like, and if you're interested to know more about Rhino inside Revit, you can check out some of our tutorials here on our website, and you can see what you can expect to get out of Rhino inside. And number 1 goes to subdivision tools for Rhino 7. These tools are the best addition to Rhino 7 in my opinion, because they can totally replace the old T-Splines plugin, for those of you who remember. And what subdivision tools can do, they can help you create any kind of freeform geometry and have a complete freedom in doing any kind of complex fluid modeling. We have a couple of tutorials on the topic, so make sure to check them out. In case you'd like to learn more about subdivision tools, I've created a separate tutorial called Top 10 Commands for Subdivision Tools, and this video is available on our Patreon page. If you decide to support us on Patreon, you will get access not only to this video, but also you'll get access to all of our other extended tutorials and project files. The link is in the description. I'd like to thank all of our existing Patreon supporters. Thanks to you, we can create better and more high quality content for all architects around the world. Thank you guys one more time. If you'd like a structured step-by-step approach in learning Rhino and Grasshopper architectural presentation, animation, rendering, you can apply for our Rhino for Architects 2.0 course. First link in the description.